Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj Ki Jai.
Vandeham Shri Guru Shiyata Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganaraganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shivishakam Vitam Sya Om Jnana Timarandasya Gyanachana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Gurva Bhistam Supurakam Guruganara Sisha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samasta Veda Nipanam Shri Rupa Patanagam Govinda Abhidam Ujjalam Varatanum Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Vande Vishwa Gurun Shah Divyat Bhagavat Prem Noe Bija Pradam Devam Divyatanam Suchanda Varanam Balarka Chelan Sandrananda Puram Sadeka Varanam Vairagya Vidyamburim Sri Siddhanta Nidhim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Baram Banditam Shubharam Madeka Sharanam Nyashishvara Shridharam Vansha Kalpatarubhyas Chakripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavenibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahabaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratavishe Namah. We're reading from Sri Chaitanya Bhagawat by Srila Vrindaban Das Thakur, and this is translated by Sarvabhavana Das. This is Madhya-khanda, chapter 25. The dead son of Srivas Pandit elucidates the truth. Sri Chaitanya, the Supreme Lord, incarnated to play the part of an ideal personality, and thereby all his actions conform exactly to the Vedic injunctions. Such blessings as bestowed by the Lord upon the maidservant Duki are never received by those who are blinded by false pride. One may only imagine the extent of the Lord's divine grace upon Srivas Pandit, when even his servants and maidservants were so fortunate. One day, as was usual, the Lord was dancing in Srivas Pandit's house. The devotees, including Srivas, encircled the Lord, sang and danced. Just then, in the inner quarters of the house, the son of Srivas passed away due to some illness, while the ladies looked on helplessly. Outside the inner rooms, the kirtan was in full progress, and the Lord danced in ecstasy. Suddenly, the sounds of loud wailing filled the air. Srivas Pandit hurried inside the house and saw his son lying dead on the bed. Srivas Pandit was a most elevated devotee, grave and knowledgeable. He quickly took charge of the situation, forbidding the ladies to lament so bitterly. He said, "You are all aware of the transcendental potencies of Sri Krishna. Therefore, restrain your tears and contain the sorrow of your heart. The Lord, whose holy name is capable of purifying and elevating to the spiritual world, even the most dreadful of sinners, just by one simple utterance, is now personally present and dancing in ecstasy with his servitors, each of whom is like Brahma himself. During such an auspicious time, if someone leaves the body, why should anyone lament? I would consider myself very fortunate if I were to have the same fate as this boy. Although you are unable to distance yourselves from the attachments of family life, you should at least stop your crying. Nobody else should learn about this incident, lest it raises alarm and disturbs the bliss of the Lord in dancing. If that should happen, then I shall certainly throw myself into the Ganges." These words had a sobering effect on the women. They stopped crying, and Srivas Pandit went back to join the kirtan. He was soon heaved high in the waves of divine bliss generated by the kirtan and the presence of the Lord. The deep knowledge and devotion of Srivas Pandit is very exalted and rare. The deep knowledge and devotion of Srivas Pandit is very exalted and rare. Such indeed are the characteristics of a servant of Sri Chaitanya. The Lord danced for a while, relishing the bliss of dancing. However, soon the news of the passing away of the son of Srivas Pandit reached the devotees. Though no one openly expressed anything, they were profoundly moved within. Lord Chaitanya, the omniscient Supreme Personality, knows everyone's heart. He inquired, "Today something perturbs my thoughts. What distress has cast its dark shadow in your house, Pandit?" Srivas replied, "My lord, what distress can affect me when your benign smiling face is illuminating my house?" Finally, the leading devotees informed the Lord about the demise of Srivas' son. Gravely, the Lord asked, "When did this happen?" The Lord was told that it occurred in the early part of the evening at about 4 o'clock. "You were not informed of this matter because Srivas was concerned about disturbing your dancing. His son has passed away about 2.5 hours earlier, and with your permission we shall now begin the necessary last rites." When Lord Chaitanya heard this wonderful story about Srivas Pandit, he was amazed. The Lord said, "How can I ever live without such an extraordinary companion?" and began to weep. He said, How am I going to leave the association of such a saintly person who is unaffected even by the demise of his son due to his love for me?" Speaking in this manner, the Lord broke down and wept bitterly. The devotees were perplexed to hear the words of the Lord, which indicated that he might leave. This did not make much sense to the devotees, and nobody knew that in the future the Lord would leave home to embrace the mendicant life of sannyas. When the Lord calmed himself, he took all the devotees to attend upon the dead boy. In the presence of all the devotees, the Lord addressed the deceased son of Srivas Pandit. "What reasons have made you leave Srivas Pandit's house?" The devotees were indeed surprised that the Lord was speaking to a dead body. Yet their surprise turned to sheer wonderment when the deceased young boy spoke up saying, "My Lord, everything happens according to your will alone. Who can influence your will?" The devotees listened attentively to each word. The boy continued, "I have enjoyed this body during the time prescribed for my presence within it. That time period is now over, so I am leaving to take up another body. My Lord, although I must leave my present body, please be merciful to me so that I may never forget you. Who is one's father? Moreover, who is one's son? Everyone acts according to the result of his individual karma. As long as my destiny allowed me to remain in Srivas Pandit's house, I have stayed, but now I must leave for yet another residence. My Lord, I offer my humble obeisances unto you and your dear associates. Please forgive all my offenses and permit me to take your leave." With these parting words, the child lay still. The wonderful miracle of the dead boy speaking such words of wisdom was a crowning experience for the devotees. They reached the heights of exaltation. The entire family of Srivas was now carried on waves of ecstasy. Their lamentation was a past dream. Experienced the bliss of love for Krishna, they threw themselves at the Lord's lotus feet and said, "O Lord, birth after birth, you are the Father, Mother, and Son. May we never forget the shade of your lotus feet. Let us take birth in any place or condition, but please let our devotion at your lotus feet be unflinching." Srivas Pandit and his 3 brothers prayed earnestly to the Lord, and all the devotees cried out in appreciation and joy. The Lord said, "Listen, Srivas, you are well conversant with the knowledge of family and material life, and you are unaffected by the distressful conditions of family life. Not only that, but you are so elevated that anyone who sees you will also become free from this entanglement. Nityananda and myself are your 2 sons, so remove the pain of loss and separation in your heart." The devotees jubilantly greeted these words of divine compassion and love from the Lord. The Lord accompanied all the devotees as they carried Srivas, his son, to the Ganga, performing kirtan all the way. The required rites completed, everyone bathed in the Ganga, and each went his own way home, chanting the holy name of Krishna. Srivas' family went back peaceful and satisfied by the last rites. All these confidential pastimes of the Lord are extraordinary, and faithful hearing of these narrations bestows pure love of Sri Hari. I offer my obeisances at the lotus feet of Srivas, whose sons are none other than my Nityananda and Gaurachandra. These were the wonderful pastimes enacted in Navadip, and they are known and seen only by devotees. Madhya-khanda has tried to describe the pastime of the dead boy speaking words of wisdom to the best of the author's ability. The Lord was so deeply immersed in the ocean of love of Krishna that he had no attraction for family life. He could not even properly perform worship of the deities, what to speak of doing other activities. As the Lord would sit down to worship the deities after bathing, his clothes would become drenched with tears of love of Krishna Prema. Unrestrainedly, tears flowed from his eyes. Such were the spiritual emotions surging within him. He would immediately come out of the deity room and changed into fresh clothes. He would immediately come out of the deity room and changed into fresh clothes. Again, in a matter of moments, his clothes would become soaked with the tears of spiritual love. In this way, he was unable to perform any worship of the deity. Ultimately, he would request Gadadhar Pandit to offer worship to the deity, saying that he himself was not fortunate enough to be able to worship the deity. Such were the supramundane activities of the Lord of Vaikuntha as he relished the nectar of Krishna Prem. Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Nityananda Prabhu are my life and soul. I, Vrindaban Das, humbly offer this song at their lotus feet. Let's see. Madhya-khanda, chapter 26. Sri Chaitanya bestows mercy upon Shuklambar and decides to take sannyas. O glory to Sri Gaurachandra, the supreme purifier of the entire world. Mercifully offer to me upon the seat of my heart your lotus feet. One day, wishing to bestow his mercy, the Lord went to the house of Shuklambar Brahmachari and begged food from him. The Lord said, I feel an uncontrollable desire to eat your food. Believe me, there is no reason for you to be anxious. The Lord persistently requested Shuklambar, but Shuklambar pleaded with the Lord, saying, O Lord, I am a most sinful person, despicable and worse, and you are the symbol of religious principles. So, O Lord, rather you should give shelter to me, who is comparable to an insignificant insect caught up in this material illusion. The Lord replied, saying, do not consider my request to be an illusion. I very much want to eat food cooked by you. Go quickly and arrange for everything. At midday I will come to your house. However, Shuklambar was still quite in anxiety, and so he approached the other devotees for comfort. They spoke reassuringly. Why should you be afraid? He is none other than the Supreme Lord. It is his nature to search out devotees who worship him with single-mindedness, and from them he likes to beg food. Remember that he ate at the house of Vidura, who was the son of a Shudra. Therefore you quickly go to your house and prepare to cook for the Lord with care and devotion. If you are still nervous, then try to cook without directly touching the food. You are very fortunate to have received this wonderful opportunity from the Lord. The Brahman Shuklambar hurried home feeling exceedingly elated. Feeling clean after bathing, Shuklambar put scented water on the fire for cooking rice. He also began to cook a delicacy prepared from the pith of banana tree bark. While the cooking was in progress, Shuklambar folded his hands and began to sing the names of the Lord, praising him and invoking his grace. Attracted by Shuklambar's devotion, Lakshmi Devi, the universal mother and goddess of fortune, blessed the Brahman's endeavor with her favorable glance. The delectable taste of ambrosia immediately mixed with the food. Meanwhile, Vishwambar had completed his bath and came, accompanied by Nityananda Prabhu and other devotees, to Shuklambar's house in dripping clothes. Shuklambar's humble dwelling was situated on the banks of the Ganges. Vishwambar soon changed to dry clothes and sat down to eat. The Lord served himself according to his wish as Shuklambar watched him with intense pleasure. As the Lord relished the food, all the devotees looked on with great delight. The Supreme Lord Gauranga is the receiver and enjoyer of all manner of pure oblations offered in sacrifice by no lesser personalities than Brahma and others of his stature. But now the Lord was thoroughly relishing Shuklambar's cooking, prepared from rice that Shuklambar had obtained by begging. This is certainly most rare. The Blessed Lord said, "My dear Shuklambar, I have never tasted anything so delicious in my life. The rice and all are so palatable that I find no words to describe them. How did you cook like this to get such a taste?" Sri Chaitanya then cast a glance of mercy at Shuklambar and said, "We are eternally associated in the mellow of friendship. Friends such as you are the root from which I grow and are the purpose of my advent." All the devotees present began to shed tears of joy as they heard. The Lord shower his mercy upon Shuklambar. All the devotees present began to shed tears of joy as they heard the Lord shower his mercy upon Shuklambar. In this way, the Lord relished his food and enjoyed the company of his devotees. Let the atheistic people, blinded with sinful activities, open their eyes and see how Shuklambar was blessed by the Supreme Lord. Sri Chaitanya is unapproachable to those who are puffed up with wealth, learning, and followers, etc. The scriptures declare that the Supreme Lord is easily won over only by surrender and loving devotion. Finishing his meal, the Lord sat down in a relaxed manner, chewing on a betel pan and smiling gently. Chewing on a betel pan, that pan is the leaf, betel pan, and it's mixed with the ingredients of betel. Finishing his meal, the Lord sat down in a relaxed manner, chewing on a betel pan and smiling gently. The devotees rushed to have the remnants from the plate which the Lord had just left behind. The Lord's remnants are so rare that Shiva and Brahma would feel extremely blessed to receive them and would carry the plate on their heads. However, now such rare treasure was easily available to all the devotees of the Lord. Such a wonderful pastime was taking place in the house of a beggar. Such are the transcendental arrangements of the Lord. The Lord engaged everyone in discussing the transcendental topics of Krishna's pastimes for a while and then lay down to rest. The devotees following their Lord also lay down. One amongst the devotees of the Lord, Sri Vijaydas, an exalted soul, had a wonderful vision. There were very few in Navadip whose handwriting could compare in beauty with that of Vijay, and he had copied many books for Sri Chaitanya. People simply knew him as Vijay the artist, but were unable to grasp his spiritual depth due to their lack of devotion. As they all lay down next to the Lord placed his hand gently on Vijay's body, and Vijay began to see marvelous sights. He saw the Lord's hand glistening like a golden pillar, long and graceful. The entire arm was covered in brilliant gems and jewelry. The fingers of the Lord were bedecked with rings full of precious gems, which shone with the dazzle of 1,000 suns and moons. The marvelous radiance spread to the abode of Brahma, the highest planet of the material universe. Vijay was overcome with joyous amazement. He opened his mouth and was about to exclaim when suddenly he felt the Lord's hand covering his mouth. The Lord smilingly said, "As long as I am present in Navadip, you should not speak about this to anyone." Hearing these words, Vijay jumped up from his position with a roaring sound, awakening all the devotees. The devotees saw Vijay in an excited state and tried to calm him down unsuccessfully. After a spell of excitement and temporary madness, the great soul fell down in a swoon of ecstasy. Seeing these symptoms, the devotees realized that Vijay had had a transcendental vision, and feeling great joy for him, began to weep tears of joy and share his ecstasy. The Lord inquired from everyone, "What has happened? What has happened to Vijay?" Quite suddenly, he has started making these thunderous sounds. I know he has a special sentiment for Mother Ganga, and being so near, Mother Ganga must have affected him. Otherwise, it must be the presence of the deities in Shuklambar's house, or maybe he has seen Krishna here. Saying this, Sri Chaitanya placed his hand on Vijay and brought him back to consciousness. The devotees were relieved and happy. Although Vijay regained consciousness and was up and about, he remained silent, without response, like a stone. For 7 days he roamed all over Nadia without food, sleep, or any bodily care. The mystified general people observed him, but did not know of his spiritual vision. Then, after some days, Vijay returned to his normal self. Such are a fraction of the extraordinary activities the Lord performed in Shuklambar's house. Who can enunciate the extent of Shuklambar's fortune? The Lord chose to sanctify Shuklambar's house with the presence of himself and his intimate associates. He even ate food cooked by Shuklambar. One who hears with faith these supramundane narrations of how the Lord graced Vijay and Shuklambar one who hears with faith these supramundane narrations of how the Lord graced Vijay and Shuklambar will develop unalloyed devotion to the Supreme Lord. This is the dear verdict of the scriptures. Every day, Chaitanya, accompanied by Nityananda, visited the houses of different Vaishnavas and manifested his transcendental pastimes. Chaitanya was constantly steeped in ecstatic prema ras and often manifested the mood and behavior of different incarnations: Matsya, Kurma, Nrsimha, Varaha, Vamana, Raghunath, Buddha, Kalki, and Krishna. The Lord, as and when he desired, displayed all these moods. Sometimes a particular mood would suddenly manifest, but then the Lord would swiftly withdraw it. However, repeatedly, the mood of Brahma would appear in him and remain manifest. As Haladar Balaram, Chaitanya would become very excited and agitated, shouting loudly, "Bring me wine, bring me wine." Nityananda always understood the Lord's different moods, and he would immediately fetch a pot full of Ganga water. All these At these times, such was the volume of Sri Chaitanya's voice that the entire creation shook. When the Lord danced in this mood, it was as if Mother Earth would shatter to pieces as all the three worlds swayed precariously. The devotees were frightened to see such violent dancing, but devotedly they sang songs glorifying the pastimes of Sri Balaram. These songs greatly pleased the Lord, bringing him to a state of supreme ecstasy. In this state, he moved about like a madman, walking and swaying like a drunk. Yet the beauty of his face was indescribable. One's eyes were never satiated from drinking the exquisiteness of his face, and the more one looked, the more the desire to see his moon-like face increased. The Lord constantly called out, "Nityananda, Nityananda," and during the short spells when he would come out of his trance, he would say things like, "Oh, life ebbs out from me." Then, changing his mood, Chaitanya would say, "Oh Krishna, you are my father, you protected me. Balaram, my uncle, you educated me with a stick." The Lord was so overwhelmed with spiritual ecstasy that it unnerved the devotees to see. The Lord was so overwhelmed with spiritual ecstasy that it unnerved the devotees to see their Lord in such a trance, and they would cry out in fear. All the activities of the Lord were extraordinary. Sometimes he would feel such a mood of intense separation from Krishna that tears would flow in streams, and his wailing would pierce the hearts of everyone. The Lord, as a devotee, was feeling separation from himself as the Supreme Lord. The gopis, the cowherd damsels of Vrindaban, feeling intense separation from Krishna, would lose their minds in his absence. When they saw the rising moon, they would mistake it for Krishna's glowing face and almost die out of mixed emotions. Similarly, the ecstatic devotional emotions of the gopis would possess Chaitanya, and he would rush to his devotees, clinging to their necks and would weep continuously. Sachimata was filled with consternation to see her son in such a state. How may a mere human describe the wonderful pastimes? How may a mere human describe the wonderful ecstatic prema exhibited by the Lord? Yet these displays of the highest order of devotional love were a daily occurrence with the Lord. One day, Sri Chaitanya was immersed in the pastimes of the gopis of Vrindaban. He was increasingly chanting, "Gopi, Gopi, Gopi." Along came a student, scholar from somewhere, and without understanding Chaitanya's mood, said, "O Nimai Pandit, why are you chanting Gopi, Gopi? You had better chant Krishna's name. What pious gain is there in chanting Gopi, Gopi? According to the Vedas, one's piety increases manyfold by chanting Krishna's name." As an ignorant man could never comprehend the Lord's spiritual state, the Lord responded by saying, "Krishna, he is a plunderer. Who worships him? That ungrateful Krishna killed the innocent Bali, and although his winsome looks and strength has won so many women, he deliberately cut off a woman's nose. Again, he begs everything from Bali Maharaj, leaving him with nothing, and then sends him down to hell. What will I gain chanting his name?" Saying this, Sri Chaitanya picked up a stick, and still immersed in ecstasy, he rushed towards the student menacingly. The startled student jumped up and ran off with the Lord close behind in hot pursuit. The student ran in fear of his life, not understanding the Lord's mood. The devotees ran after their Lord, and catching up with him, brought him back and pacified him. The student, in the meantime, had made good his escape. Panting heavily and drenched with perspiration, he found his friends, who were curious about his plight, and inquired the reason for his fright. He responded, "Do not inquire further. I am lucky to be here alive and breathing. Everyone says Nimai Pandit is very saintly, but today when I visited him, I found him chanting Gopi Gopi. He is chanting only these names night and day. So I told him, 'What are you doing, O learned man? You should chant Krishna Krishna, as is recommended in the scriptures.' These words enraged him to such an extent that he came charging at me with a stick. Not only that, he was even cursing and abusing Krishna, which I am afraid to repeat. Only destiny could have intervened to save my life today." The students began to laugh foolishly and air their vacuous views. One said, "If, as the people say, he is a good Vaishnava, then why does he come chasing a Brahmin with violent intentions?" Another offered, "How can you call him a Vaishnava if he refuses to utter Krishna's name?" Yet another remark, It sounds very strange that a Vaishnava is chanting only Gopi Gopi." Another said forcefully, "Why should we feel coward and shrivel in this hovel? Have we not also the power so characteristic of Brahmins? He may be a Brahmin, yet we are also learned in the scriptures. Why should we tolerate his threats? He is not a king or officer that he can punish us. Let us group together, and the next time he tries to intimidate us, we will thwart him. He may be the son of the learned Jagannath Mishra, but our parents are no less worthy. Just see, yesterday we were studying together as equal friends, and yet today he has suddenly become the Mahaprabhu, great master." In this manner, the offenders and atheists spoke so caustically against him, but Sri Chaitanya, the Super Soul residing within everyone's heart, knew everything. One day he was sitting with all his devotees when suddenly he made a mysterious remark, the meaning of which was too shrouded for anyone to understand. He said, "The medicine, Madhya-khanda, was prepared to cure the excess phlegm, but instead it has increased the phlegm of the body." Saying this, the Lord began laughing loudly, musing over something incomprehensible to all. The devotees became very concerned. Nityananda knew the inner meaning of the Lord's statement and understood his confidential mood. He thought, soon the Lord will leave home and take sannyas. Nityananda fell into deep despair. The life air seemed to leave his body at the thought of seeing his beloved Sri Chaitanya, as beautiful as he is, being shorn of those lovely locks of hair. Chaitanya suddenly clasped Nityananda's hand, taking him away to a quiet and lonely place. Chaitanya said, "Listen, dear Nityananda, I am revealing my heart to you. The purpose of my advent is to deliver the entire world, but instead of delivering the living entities, it seems I shall have to ultimately destroy them. The people are supposed to attain salvation just by seeing me, whereas now their material bonds are becoming stronger. As soon as they contemplated beating me, they became tightly chained to external bondage. I incarnated with the intention of liberating the good and innocent mass, but now I have spoiled everything and am leading the people to their doom. Therefore, I have decided to shave my head and take to the renounced life of a sannyasi, begging from door to door with a begging bowl. I will stand at the doors of those who wanted to attack me. Then those same aggressors will fall at my feet, and in this way I will deliver the whole universe." Everyone respects a sannyasi. No one will ever think of harming a sannyasi. Tomorrow when I take up begging as a sannyasi, I can go anywhere safely. Therefore I have fully decided to take up the sannyas order, leaving my home and family. Please do not feel sad due to this. Rather give me permission to take up the renounced life. I will certainly act in accordance with your desire, but you should consider that I have taken this incarnation for a specific purpose and request your permission in this matter. If you really want to see that everyone in the world becomes liberated, then you must not prohibit me from my decision. You should be the last person to lament over this, because you know the confidential reason for my advent. When Nityananda heard from his dear Lord that he would shave his beautiful locks and enter the renounced order, his heart shattered to pieces in grief. He did not know what to say to Chaitanya, but he was sure that the Lord would go ahead with his decision. Nityananda replied, "My dear Lord, you are absolutely independent. Whatever you wish must certainly be executed. Who can resist you or go against your wishes? Whatever you have decided is sure to happen. You are the maintainer and protector of this cosmic manifestation. Your wishes are always for the good of the people. Who but you could conceive of the best method for liberating the conditioned souls? You are perfectly free to act in any way that you wish best. You are perfectly free to act in any way that you think best. Yet I think you may present these facts to all the Vaishnavas and ask their opinion. After hearing them, you may do whatever you think is necessary." Nityananda's words satisfied Chaitanya, and he embraced Nityananda repeatedly. Thus advised, Mahaprabhu went to meet the assembly of Vaishnavas. The paralyzing thought that Mahaprabhu would take sannyas echoed in the gray emptiness of Nityananda's mind. He walked about normally, but within himself raged a fitful storm. How will Sachi Mata maintain her grief-stricken life once her Nimai abandons home? He thought, how will she live through the long, lonely days and nights without her Nimai? Each time these thoughts raced through his mind, Nityananda felt devastated with despair and would find a secluded corner in which to weep bitterly, unable to bear the thought of what would happen to Sachi Mata. Chaitanya came to Mukunda's house. Mukunda was overjoyed to see his beloved Lord coming personally to his home. The Lord said, "Sing something about Krishna." Mukunda began to sing, and the Lord listened to the transcendental sweetness of Mukunda's singing. Withdrawing his feelings of ecstasy within himself, the Lord calmed himself and spoke to Mukunda. The Lord said, "Mukunda, please listen to me. I have decided to leave my home and family to join the sannyas order. Shaving my hair, I shall travel throughout the land." The Lord's words crushed the joy that Mukunda had felt earlier upon seeing the Lord. Piteously, he begged the Lord, "My Lord, since you are firm in your resolve to become a mendicant, it must happen. But wait a little longer. Stay with us and pass more time in Krishna Kirtan. Then do what you wish to do." Stay with us and pass more time in Krishna Kirtan, then do what you must do. Sri Chaitanya left Mukunda's home and went to see Gadadhar Pandit. Gadadhar offered obeisances to his Lord, praying at his lotus feet. The Lord addressed Gadadhar, "I want you to hear me carefully, please, Gadadhar. I have to leave my home and family for the sake of my Krishna. I shall shave my head and as a mendicant go wherever the road leads." Gadadhar remained motionless, thunderstruck, feeling a burning grief swallowing him within. He replied, "Your words are very strange, my Lord. You mean to say that one can attain Krishna simply by shaving the head, leaving home, and not staying in householder life? What spiritual gain is there in shaving one's head? This may be your opinion, but it is certainly not found anywhere in the Vedic scriptures. Moreover, how do you propose to leave a widowed mother all alone? At the very outset, you will be burned with the sin of bringing about the death of your mother. You are the dream of her life. If you are gone, then what reason will she have to remain alive? Is one not dear to the Supreme Lord remaining at home? In fact, everyone likes a householder. If in spite of everything I have told you, you will want to cling to your decision, then do as you like. In this way, the Lord visited all his near and dear ones and told them all of his plan to take sannyas. Whoever heard this was shocked with grief. They wept bitterly at the thought of seeing their beloved Lord, beautiful as the springtime full moon, shorn of all his black cascading curls. They lamented, "What then will be the use of stringing a garland for his curly locks?" Yet another cried out, "How will I ever be able to live without seeing his delightful locks?" Yet another exclaimed, beating his head, "Will I never be able to smell the transcendental aroma of his hair anymore?" The devotees were wailing in grief, tossed about in an ocean of despair. Loudly they wept, for they were going to lose their beloved Lord. Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Sri Nityananda are my life and soul. I, Vrindaban Das, offer this song at their lotus feet. Okay. Okay, now we'll sing Hari Harai. Hari Harai Nama Krishna Jaravaya Nama Jaravaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan
Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan
Giridhari Gopinatha Maranamohan
Bihari Gopinatha Maranamohan
Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra
Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra
Janardan Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Janardan Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Rupa Sanatam Bhatta Raghunath Jai Rupa Sanatam Bhatta Raghunath Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath H.I. Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan H.I. Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan Jawite Vignana Shabista Puran Jawite Vignana Shabista Puran H.I. Gosai Jar Mui Charandas H.I. Gosai Jar Mui Charandas Kastabar Pada Renu Mora Panchagras Kastabar Pada Renu Mora Panchagras Tader Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanibas Tader Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanibas Janame Janame More Abhilash Janame Janame More Abhilash H.I. Gosai Jabe Braje Koilabas H.I. Gosai Jabe Braje Koilabas Radha Krishna Nitya Leela Kori La Prakash. Radha Krishna Nitya Leela Kori La Prakash. Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindaban. Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindaban. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Manjai Aman. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Manjai Aman. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas. Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas. Harinam Sankirtana Gohe Naratamodas. Harinam Sankirtana Gohe Naratamodas. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas. Harinam Sankirtana Gohe Naradamodas. Nam Sankirtana Gohe Naradamodas. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo. Nitai Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo. Nitai Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo. Nitai Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo. Jai Saparikara Shri Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhari Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Nirmal Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabhajaka Charya Ashtatara Sadhashri Srimad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabhajaka Charya Ashtatara Sadhashri Srimad Srila Bhakti Rakshidhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Rupanuga Guru Bharga Ki Jai. Namachari Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath Shad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Premsigo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Vishvavaranya Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Navadip Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Ki Jai. Saparshada Shri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Saparshada Shriman Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. Shri Koladvip Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai. Soquel Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Sivashram Ki Jai. Ganga Devi Ki Jai. Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Vrindaban Dham Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopi Govardhan. Sham Kunda Radha Kunda Kalindi Yamuna Jo Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. All the assembled devotees Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Bhagawat Ki Jai. Srila Vrindaban Das Thakur Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Bol.
Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj Ki Jai.